Hi, again. My name is Everett DeMaurier, and I've been asked to do this social distancing thing again, and I've decided to read from The Invention of Everything. This makes more sense to read in the time of social distancing because it's several different stories. The book is half how-tos. There's a lot of things in here, but from everything from how to change a tire to how to pack a suitcase, to buy a watch, make chili, and then there are stories in between. So I've been asked to do several of these during this social distancing time and give them to you, and here we are. So the first one I'd like to read, and not that I need these, but yeah, I do. It's called Velma. My mother Velma invented the Egg McMuffin. This would have been about 1957 at a business she owned with her father called the Gem Diner. The Gem Diner was a little place in Sanitarium Springs, New York, which itself was a little place near Binghamton, New York. It's on the side of Route 7, and it sold sandwiches and shakes, burgers and fries to travelers who would stop by for lunch or an early dinner. But few people came for breakfast. They stop and get coffee, Velma said to her father. They get coffee, Grover corrected, to go. They don't want to be late for work, so they fill their thermos and leave. So Velma began thinking of a portable breakfast that she could make quickly. She came up with a fried egg, a slice of Canadian bacon, and cheese served on a toasted English muffin. What is it? Grover felt the warmth of the English muffin and the egg flow through the wax paper that covered the sandwich. It's breakfast. Well, he said as he unwrapped it, we'll give it a try. They sold out the first week. The item was named the Gem Diner Special, and it cost 30 cents. Don't forget the Gem Diner Special tomorrow, Grover would remind every customer as he rang out. Now, on the road from Bainbridge, New York to Binghamton, New York, there were more than 15 places to stop and get a cup of coffee. 20 if you weren't picky, but none of them had a prettier waitresses than Velma. So every day, Larry DeMaurier stopped at the Gem Diner. Every day he would talk to Velma, and every day he would leave, only after he made her laugh at least twice. He proposed to her on the porch steps of Grover's house in Sanitary Springs, just around the corner from the diner, and they were married in January of 1958. Grover rented the upstairs rooms out to people, so he moved to a back bedroom of the house, and the newlyweds took the first floor. 4 years later, 2 days after Christmas in 1962, Velma woke suddenly and knew it was the time to deliver her child. She woke her husband, who carried her bag out to the car, and jumped in. It was only 10 miles to the hospital, but the roads were clear. But then, when Larry turned the car key, nothing happened. He tried again, and again. Without even a click from the starter to signify effort, the car just didn't start. Larry jumped out of the car, leaving his wife inside, and disappeared. It was cold and silent in Sanitary Springs at that time of night. Velma sat, tried to remain calm, until she heard the roar of a large engine distance and saw a car racing towards her. A copper-colored Ford Fairlane. Larry jumped out to transfer his wife inside. Whose car is this? She asked through shallow breaths. A friend's. Larry shot out of the stone driveway, and on the clear back roads they made good time. They got to the hospital, their child was born, and 15 hours later, when his head had finally cleared, Larry decided he'd better find out whose car he had taken. He had ran up the street and looked inside every car until he came and found one with keys inside of it. He and Grover made some phone calls, identifying the owner of the car, described the situation to a very understanding neighbor. The police were contacted, and they called off the search for the stolen Fairlane. The Gem Diner did well for a few more years, but the hours were long and demanding, and Grover decided it was too much for his daughter and her young family, and too much for him, so they closed the doors. Grover paced the big house, trying to determine what to do next, especially since Larry and Velma would soon have another mouth to feed, with their second child on the way. Grover had come up with a source of income for where Velma could stay away from home so much, and he finally had an idea. A fish store? Velma said. You mean fish to eat? No, a tropical fish, he said, excitedly. pointing to the area that had once been the bar of the old hotel. Right here. You wouldn't even have to leave the house to take care of customers. You'd hear the buzzer inside the house, and when someone came to that door, you would just walk in through the house. Simple. Grover got to work on the Mermaid Aquarium, Sanitary Springs' first tropical fish store. He bought display cases and shelving, hoses and tank decorations, and filled more than 100 different tanks with water, gravel, pumps, and exotic fish. Do people care about tropical fish? Velma said. You'll make them care. And a fish tank is cheaper than one of them new color TVs, he said. Grover walked out to his car, motioning for his son-in-law to help him carry something back in. What is it? Larry lifted the side of the box, but something inside moved. Alligators. What? Baby ones. Put them in the tank right next to the piranhas. Preparations for the store continued, and 2 days before the grand opening of Mermaid Aquarium, Grover died. Velma opened the store without him. And a week after that, she named her new daughter after her father's favorite song, Laura. The Mermaid Aquarium provided a solid second income for the family, and with the rent from the tenants upstairs and Larry's small salary, they squeaked by. In fact, there was even a few dollars to spend on a new trend: kids' birthday parties hosted at McDonald's. In 1972, as Velma watched kids in the Front Street McDonald's, where they played games and music and cake set up for her son's 10th birthday, she passed a large poster with an announcement. The franchise would now start serving breakfast and invite everyone to try the brand new Egg McMuffin. Velma smiled. I thought of these stories as I helped her pack to move. I thought of how when my dad went on medical disability in 1978 and his small salary grew even smaller, that Velma became the oldest college freshman in the State University of New York, Delhi's nursing program. She was 54 years old, and she combined classes and graduated in 1 year. She then went to work at the Delaware Valley Hospital in Walton for almost 30 years, where she won Nurse of the Year in 2002. A plaque still hangs there with her name on it. We continued to pack. Not everything, she told me. We don't need to take everything, just a few things. I'll be back. I know. And we would be back. A few times. To get the house ready to sell. Your heart is strong, Velma, Dr. Freeman had said only a few days before when he examined her. Very strong. So are your legs. But your balance is terrible. So Velma would go to Ohio, to Laura's house, where there was a room waiting for her until we could find an assisted living where she could have her things and join the kind of groups and organizations that she loved. I'm not going to just twiddle my thumbs, Velma said. No one's asking you to. I need to do things, she said. We know. And we packed her bag and we got her medication. We took a few of her pictures and I checked the lock twice. We got in the car and then went back inside for her cane. She didn't think she would need it. Then we adjusted the heat in the car to volcanic levels, just the way she likes it. And we headed out for the 5-hour drive to meet my sister halfway between Walton and Columbus. I didn't get breakfast, Velma announced, as if a serious crime had been committed against her. We'll stop at McDonald's on the way out. Okay. And we did. We got 2 English muffins. We got 2 Egg McMuffins. Tried to be clever. We got 2 Egg McMuffins. That was Velma from the Invention of Everything. Stay safe.